The first thing Dr. Liyana Mwangi felt was blood, warm, thick, pouring across her palms like a nightmare she couldn't wake from. The second thing she felt was cold metal, a gun barrel pressing into the back of her neck. "Fix him," the man behind her said, voice low enough that it vibrated against her spine. "If he dies, you die next." Her breath caught. This wasn't a hospital. There were no bright white tiles, no orderly chaos, no beeping monitors or sterile smells. This place felt wrong. The overhead lights buzzed like dying insects. Concrete walls, scattered tools on a metal tray. 6 men with guns forming a silent circle around the operating table. And on that table, a dying man. Chest cracked open, blood pooling, breathing shallow, heart monitor flickering in and out, the machine clearly stolen or second-hand. "Clamp," she whispered. A hand shoved a clamp into her palm. Not a nurse's hand, not a doctor's hand, a Mafia boss's hand. He stood beside her, tall, composed, black suit rolled to the elbows, gold cufflinks stained with blood. His expression was carved from ice, his dark eyes locked on her every movement, analyzing her like she was both a tool and a threat. This was Kang Ji-hoon. She didn't know him, but every instinct screamed that this man was powerful, dangerously powerful. "Time, doctor," Ji-hoon murmured. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The room obeyed his silence. Liyana clamped the vessel, whispered a frantic prayer in Swahili under her breath. "Mungu nisaidie. God, help me." Her hands trembled, but she forced them steady. Death had walked beside her long enough to know she couldn't outrun it, but maybe she could bargain with it. She just didn't know she was bargaining for her own life. Dr. Liyana had just ended an 18-hour shift at Seoul General Hospital. She was exhausted, freezing, hungry. Her long black braids were damp from the sleet outside. She was thinking about calling her sister in Nairobi. She was thinking about sleep. She was not thinking about the past, not thinking about the man she'd buried 2 years earlier in Kenya, not thinking about the coffin she'd watched lowered into the ground, not thinking about the vows they had exchanged before everything fell apart, not thinking about Chike. She had finally learned to live without ghosts. And then the van door slid open. A gloved hand grabbed her. A needle pricked her neck. Darkness swallowed her. When she woke, she was tied to a metal chair under blinding light. When they dragged her to the table, she thought she had been kidnapped for ransom. She was wrong. They didn't want money. They wanted her talent. They wanted her hands. And now those hands were deep inside a man's chest, desperately holding on to a life that was slipping away. "Doctor," Ji-hoon's voice cut through the panic in her skull. "You have 90 seconds. His watch glinted as he leaned. Closer. The scent of his cologne, sharp, clean, expensive, contradicted the violence of the scene. "Do not fail," he added. There was no threat in his tone. The threat was simply him. Liyana swallowed, reached for the suture, and worked quickly. Her breath fogged her mask. Her chest burned. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. She had performed trauma surgeries under pressure before. Gunshots, stabbings, car wrecks. But never with a gun at her back, never in a basement, never surrounded by criminals, and never, ever on a man who... No, she didn't have time to think. The monitor beeped weakly. The heart rhythm slowed. "Come on," she whispered. "Stay with me?" The line dipped, flatlined. "No, no, no." She pressed the internal paddles to his heart. "Charge to 10." A guard yanked the power cable from the wall. The machine flickered, died. Liyana's stomach dropped. "There's no power backup?" she gasped. Ji-hoon's face remained unreadable. "This is not a hospital, doctor." "Then give me something, anything." "You have your hands," he said. "Use them." Her hands, her training, her fear, her desperation, all she had. She placed her palms around the man's heart and squeezed, manually pumping it, whispering prayers, commands, anything to keep him alive. Her shoulders shook from effort. Sweat dripped down her back, her fingers cramped. "Come on," she breathed. "Fight." Another squeeze. Another. The monitor flickered back to life. A faint pulse. Weak, but real. He was alive, barely. She sagged forward, lungs burning. Ji-hoon finally lowered the gun. Successful? He asked. Liyana nodded, exhausted. For now. He stared at her for a long moment. Then, turn him over, he said to his men. 2 guards moved, and that's when she finally saw his face. The dying man. The man whose life she had just saved. The man she thought she'd buried. The man she once loved so much it broke her. Cheeky. Her husband. Her dead husband. Her world shattered. Her knees buckled. Her vision blurred. Her breath came out as a broken whisper. No. Ji-hoon watched her reaction with sudden, sharp interest. You know him. It wasn't a question. Liyana's lips trembled. Her chest squeezed painfully. Tears welled and spilled before she could stop them. That's my husband. The room went still. Completely still. Even the guards froze. Ji-hoon tilted his head slightly, studying her expression like he was solving an equation. Then he smiled. Slow. Cold. Knowing. Well, he murmured, that will make this much more interesting. If your heart just dropped the way Liyana's did, hit like right now and tell me in the comments what you would do in her position. Save him or let him die. Now stay with me, because what happens next? Oh, besties, it gets so much worse. Liyana stepped back from the table, shaking violently. This couldn't be real. Cheek was dead. She saw the coffin. She touched the wood. She heard the dirt hit it. He couldn't be here, bleeding in a Mafia basement, shot, dying, alive. Alive? Her stomach twisted with nausea. Her vision blurred again. Her breath hitched. Sit, Ji-hoon commanded, but her legs gave out before she could obey. She collapsed to her knees, gripping the edge of the table for support. Her whole body trembled. Ji-hoon crouched in front of her, eye level, his expression unreadable. Speak, he said softly. What is he to you? She wanted to lie. She wanted to deny everything. She wanted to run, but her voice betrayed her. He was my husband. Was? Ji-hoon repeated. Past tense. He died, she whispered. 2 years ago. In Kenya. Car crash. I buried him. Ji-hoon's eyes flicked to Cheek's unconscious form. Clearly, he murmured, you were misinformed. Her chest tightened painfully. 1,000 memories slammed into her at once. Chaik smiling at her graduation. Chaik dancing with her in the kitchen. Chaik disappearing without explanation. Chaik's funeral. Chaik's coffin. Chaik's mother crying. Chaik's death. All a lie. She felt sick. I don't understand, she choked out. I will explain, Ji-hoon said. He stood. His tone darkened. But you will not like the truth. Your husband, Ji-hoon said, stole from me. Liyana's head snapped up. What? Not pocket change? He added. $22 million. Her breath froze. He stole from a Mafia syndicate? She whispered. No, Ji-hoon corrected softly. He stole from me. Her stomach dropped. Ji-hoon's eyes hardened. And when you steal from me, there are consequences. She looked at Cheek, pale and unconscious on the table. And this is the consequence. No. Ji-hoon stepped closer. This is mercy. She flinched. Ji-hoon continued calmly, like he was reading a recipe. He sold information. He betrayed my network. He gave details that got my men killed. He fled Seoul, disappeared, hid in Africa, changed his identity. Liyana's heartbeat pounded painfully. He told me he was visiting family, she whispered. Ji-hoon's brows lifted slightly. Did he tell you he was running from a death sentence? She covered her mouth to keep from sobbing. Ji-hoon crouched again, his voice low, precise. But the worst of his crimes was not the theft, or the betrayal. He leaned closer. The worst thing he did was selling your identity. Liyana's pulse stopped. What? He used your passport, your medical credentials, sold your personal data to men who trade in organs and doctors who go missing. Ji-hoon's eyes held hers. He sold you. Her world shattered all over again. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't think. She whispered, "No, he wouldn't." "He did." Ji-hoon stood. "And now that he is found, those same men are coming for you." Her breath shook violently. "And that," Ji-hoon concluded, "is why I took you first. If you're still breathing after that revelation, comment, OMG what? Because besties, Liyana's nightmare is just beginning." Silence swallowed the room after Ji-hoon's final words. The revelation sat on Liyana's chest like a crushing weight, so heavy she felt she might pass out. Her vision blurred, her ears rang, and she couldn't stop shaking. "My husband," she whispered, staring at the man on the table. "He sold me." "Yes." Ji-hoon didn't soften the answer. He didn't offer comfort. He didn't pretend to be sorry. Emotion didn't touch him at all. But something else did. Curiosity. He watched her like she was a puzzle he was slowly assembling. How do you know this?" Liyana managed. "Because," Ji-hoon said, "your husband confessed before he ran." He tilted his head. "Confessed everything, except that he was married." She blinked rapidly. "Cheek. Confessed? Cheek. Ran. Cheek. Sold her?" This wasn't real. It couldn't be real. Why would anyone? Her voice cracked with grief and disbelief. "I don't understand." Ji-hoon crouched again, expression unreadable. "Greed," he said simply. "Cowardice. Fear. Take your pick." Tears spilled down her face before she could stop them. He watched the tears the way a scientist studies rainfall, observing, not comforting. "You need to stand," he said after a moment. "Get up." "I can't," she whispered. "You will." He pointed to her, and 2 guards immediately stepped forward, pulling her up by the arms. Her legs buckled. She stumbled. One of the guards tried to steady her. "No touching," Ji-hoon snapped coldly. Both guards stepped back instantly. Liyana swayed, managing to stay upright. Ji-hoon held her gaze. "Come," he said, "there is more you need to know." They walked through a dim corridor lined with surveillance screens. Liyana's stomach twisted. Each screen showed different parts of a massive compound. High walls, armed guards, metal gates, watchtowers. This wasn't just a building. This was a fortress. He stopped in front of one screen, security footage of a small apartment. A woman in her mid-50s moved around the living room, fixing her headscarf, humming softly. Liyana's breath stilled. "Mama?" "Yes," Ji-hoon said. "Your mother." Liyana took a shaky step forward. Her mother sat on the sofa knitting, completely unaware that her daughter was in a Mafia compound thousands of miles away. "I've had her watched," Ji-hoon said. Liyana's eyes widened in horror. "What? Why?" He looked at her like she was slow. "Because you were a target," he said, "and if they couldn't find you, they would have gone after her." Her knees weakened again. He continued, "Your husband sold not just your identity, he sold your family's location, your home address in Nairobi, your travel records." His voice dropped lower. "He sold your mother first." Liyana's heart turned to ice. Her mother. Her sweet, gentle, harmless mother. "Why?" Her voice broke. "Why would he? Why?" "Because he was desperate," Ji-hoon replied, turning to face her fully. "And because he knew you would keep him alive." Her head snapped up. "What does that mean?" Ji-hoon stepped closer, so close she could smell blood and expensive cologne. "Your husband did not survive this long by being lucky," he said. "He survived by making himself valuable." Her breath trembled. "And you, Dr. Mwangi," he held her gaze, "are very valuable." A chill crawled across her skin. "Why?" she whispered. "Because you are brilliant," he said simply. "And because your medical skill is rare in the world I operate in." He leaned in slightly. "And because you would do anything to keep your family alive." Her stomach twisted painfully. Ji-hoon straightened. You will stay here, he said, for your own safety. Liyana blinked. What? You cannot leave, he said matter of fact. Not until I decide it is safe. This is kidnapping, she whispered. No. His voice was smooth, even. This is protection. That's insane. You are a doctor, he interrupted calmly. You should recognize when someone is in danger. He paused. You are in danger, Dr. Mwangi. She shook her head, eyes stinging. I don't want your protection. I don't require your consent. Her breath hitched. His dominance wasn't loud. It wasn't violent. It wasn't shouted. It was quiet, precise, unshakable. He gestured for her to follow him again. Come, he said. Your husband is waking up. They returned to the operating room. Cheeky stirred on the table, groaning, eyelids fluttering. Liyana froze in the doorway. Her breath caught painfully in her chest as she watched the man she buried 2 years ago come back to life. Cheek? She whispered. His eyes snapped open instantly. Fear, recognition, guilt, all in one expression. Liyana? He croaked. Her chest caved. He tried to sit up, but a guard pushed him back down. Cheek's gaze darted around wildly until it landed on Ji-hoon. His face drained of color. No, he breathed. No, please. Welcome back, Ji-hoon said coolly. You've caused quite a mess. Please, Chaik begged. Don't hurt her, please. I'll do anything. You've already done enough, Ji-hoon interrupted. He stepped closer. Cheek trembled violently. Liyana, he whispered, tears filling his eyes. You have to believe me. I was forced. I didn't have a choice. I never meant to. Sell her, Ji-hoon finished sharply. Cheek flinched like he'd been slapped. You what? Ji-hoon pressed. You lied. You ran. You faked your death. You sold your wife's identity to men who slice people open in basements. Cheeky sobbed. I'm sorry. Liyana's heart twisted painfully. Anger, grief, betrayal, all crashing in at once. Why? She whispered, voice cracking. Why did you do it? Cheeky shook his head frantically. They threatened me. They were going to kill me. I thought if I gave them something else, someone stronger, safer, they'd let me live. Liyana stared at him in horror. Someone else? She whispered, voice trembling. Someone else? You gave them me? I didn't. You sold me, she screamed, her knees nearly buckling again. He broke into sobs. I was scared. I thought you'd be safe. You thought I'd be safe, she choked. By selling my name to traffickers? I'm sorry. No. Her voice cracked. No, you don't get to say that. You let me bury an empty coffin. You let me cry over you. You let me believe you were dead. Chaik wept harder. Ji-hoon watched the scene with a chilling calm. Then he stepped between them. That's enough, he said. Both froze. Ji-hoon's voice dropped. You have 30 seconds to tell your wife the truth before she decides whether you live any longer. Cheek's eyes widened in terror. Please, he sobbed. Please don't let him kill me. Liyana swallowed hard. Her voice was cold, empty, broken. Start talking. Cheeky swallowed, trembling so hard the bed shook. I didn't just steal from him, he whispered. Ji-hoon's eyes narrowed slightly. Cheek continued. I wasn't working alone. A guard stepped forward, tense. Ji-hoon froze completely, still as stone. Who? He demanded. Cheek looked at Liyana with terror. Someone from the hospital, he whispered. Someone who works where you work. Liyana's stomach dropped. Who? Ji-hoon repeated slowly, dangerously, is helping the syndicate. Cheek sobbed harder. I don't know her name. Her. Liyana's heart hammered. But, Cheek said, voice breaking, she knows Liyana. She asked about her. She knew her schedule. They were watching her long before I even left Kenya. Liyana's entire body went numb. Someone at her hospital, someone she worked with, someone she trusted, had been after her before Cheeky sold her. Her throat closed. Her pulse roared. Her knees shook violently. Ji-hoon's eyes sharpened with lethal intent. "I want her name," he said. I don't know it." "Then you are useless," Ji-hoon said. He pulled out his gun. Liyana gasped. "Wait!" Ji-hoon paused. Her chest tightened painfully as she realized what she was about to do. "Don't kill him," she whispered. Ji-hoon's brows lifted slightly. "Why?" "Because—" She swallowed hard. "I need answers." Ji-hoon studied her. Then, slowly, he lowered the weapon. "As you wish," he murmured. "Your husband lives." He leaned close to Cheek's ear. "For now." They locked Cheek in a reinforced room that smelled like disinfectant and iron. They didn't lock Liyana in a cell. They gave her a bedroom. That almost felt worse. The room was too beautiful for a prisoner. Soft gray walls, a wide bed with fresh linens, a window overlooking the compound courtyard, high stone walls, patrol lights, guard posts. On the small table by the window, someone had placed a tray. Soup, bread, tea. She stared at it, numb. A camera blinked red from the corner of the ceiling. They were watching her. Of course they were. She didn't touch the food. She chose the floor instead of the bed. She drew her knees to her chest and pressed her forehead against them, whispering in Swahili, then English, then silence. Images crashed through her head in jagged pieces. Her mother's face on the surveillance screen. Cheek's tear-streaked apology. Ji-hoon's steady, merciless voice. "You are in danger, Dr. Mwangi." She didn't know how long she sat there. At some point, footsteps approached. The door clicked. She didn't look up. "Eat," a quiet female voice said. Liyana lifted her head. A woman in her 40s stood in the doorway, wearing a simple blouse and slacks, no makeup. Korean, calm eyes. She carried a medical kit. "I'm Dr. Han," she said gently. "I handle the medical needs in this house." House, that was one word for it. "Please," Dr. Han continued, "you've lost a lot of energy. Your hands, they cramped, didn't they?" Liyana stared at her own fingers, still faintly trembling. Dr. Han crossed the floor and crouched near her, giving her space. "May I?" she asked. Liyana didn't answer. Dr. Han took it as a yes. She gently took one of Liyana's hands, checking the tendons, rotating her wrist. "You worked well under pressure," she murmured. "Most surgeons would have broken." "I did break," Liyana whispered hoarsely. Dr. Han's eyes softened. "Not in the way that counts." Liyana swallowed hard. "Why are you all like this?" she whispered. "So calm, like this is normal." Dr. Han paused. "Because," she said quietly, "in this world, it is normal." She looked up. "But it is not right." Liyana's throat tightened. "Leave me alone," she whispered. Dr. Han nodded. "There's a sedative in your tea," she said, standing. "Mild, to help you sleep. They want you rested." "They?" "Mr. Kang," Dr. Han said. "And his men, but mostly him. His men, but mostly him. Of course." "Eat something," Dr. Han added at the door. "Or he'll notice." The lock clicked after she left. Liyana sat there for a long time. Then, finally, she stood, walked to the table, and picked up the tea. She stared at it, at the steam swirling, at the tremble in her fingers. Then she drank. Sleep didn't feel like rest. It felt like surrender. She woke to darkness. The lights were off, but a sliver of hallway glow cut under the door. Her throat was dry. Her chest felt heavy, painfully tight. She had been dreaming of dirt being thrown on a coffin. She rolled onto her back, blinking at the ceiling. Something moved in the corner of the room. Liyana jolted upright, heart racing. A figure sat in the armchair by the window. Silent, still, watching her. Her hand flew to her chest. "Who?" The figure shifted slightly. The light from the window traced his profile. Sharp jaw, dark eyes, relaxed posture. Kang Ji-hoon. "Good," he said calmly. "You're awake." Her heart leapt painfully. "What are you doing here?" she whispered. "Sitting," he said, like it was obvious. "In my room?" she demanded. His brow lifted slightly. "It is not your room," he reminded her. "Nothing here is yours." Her fingers curled around the blanket. "How long have you been here?" she asked. "Since Dr. Han left," he said. "You were restless in your sleep. You kept saying, 'Don't take her.'" Her chest squeezed. Her mother. "You were watching me sleep?" Liyana asked, humiliation and anger flushing through her. "Yes." The answer was simple, unapologetic. "Why?" she snapped. He didn't flinch. "Because you are a flight risk," he said, "and a suicide risk." Her breath caught. "I'm not going to kill myself." "You tried once," he said calmly. She blinked. What? No, In the hotel," he continued, eyes unmoving. 3 months ago, you booked a room alone, paid in cash, stood on the window ledge for 17 minutes. Blood drained from her face. "How do you—" "Cameras," he said. "There are always cameras in nice hotels, Dr. Mwangi." Her throat closed. She whispered, "I didn't jump." "But you considered it," he replied. "More than once. You've been alone for a long time." The way he said it, not as a question, as a fact, a diagnosis. She hugged her knees tighter, feeling exposed. "You don't know anything about me," she muttered. "I know more than you think," he said quietly. "Like what?" she whispered bitterly. "That I'm a fool? That my husband used me? That I'm pathetic enough to still be hurting over a man who sold me like a piece of property?" He didn't respond immediately. "You are not pathetic," he said at last. She laughed, the sound broken. "No, look around." She gestured to the room. "I'm a prisoner, again, because of him, again." His eyes stayed on her. "You're not a prisoner," he said. "You're an asset under protection." Her jaw clenched. "That's not better." "It's safer," he said. "And safety is all I can offer." She swallowed hard. "Why?" she whispered. "Why are you protecting me? You could have killed him and left me at the hospital. You could have let them take me instead. Why, me?" He went perfectly still. The air between them shifted. "When I mentioned your hospital," he said slowly, "you didn't ask what they wanted." She frowned. "What?" "You didn't ask what they wanted from you," he repeated. "You only asked why your husband betrayed you." He leaned forward slightly. "Most people," he continued, "would ask what harm is coming next, what danger awaits." He tilted his head. "You asked about your heart first." Her chest ached. "So?" she whispered. "So," he said, "I need a doctor who still cares enough to hurt." Her breath caught. He stood up. "I have lost too many people to doctors who stopped caring." For a split second, something flickered in his eyes. A shadow. A memory. Pain. Then it was gone. "It's late," he said. "Sleep. You'll need your strength." "How long are you going to keep me here?" she asked quietly. He walked to the door. "As long as necessary." "You can't do that," she said. "I have a life, a job, a family." "You had a life," he corrected. "It ended the moment your husband sold you." The words hit like a slap. He opened the door, paused, looked back at her. "But if you do as I say, doctor," his voice dropped lower, darker, "I can give you a new one." The lock clicked behind him. Liyana learned the rhythm of the compound. Not because she wanted to, but because survival demanded it. Breakfast at 8, check on Cheek at 9, labs and minor procedures with Dr. Han mid-morning, afternoons in a small clinic wing, treating injuries she didn't ask about, evenings, summoned to Ji-hoon's office, always under guard, always watched, never really free. Cheik tried to speak to her through the glass window of his reinforced room. She didn't go inside, not once. She couldn't. She wasn't ready to look at him without wanting to scream. He would bang weakly on the glass, voice hoarse, pleading. "Liyana, please, please, just listen." She'd walk away. Every time. She hated herself for the part of her that wanted to listen. Hated herself for the part that remembered his laugh, his warmth, the way he used to say her name. He had been her safest place once. Now he was the reason she was trapped in hell. Ji-hoon was consistent, cold, controlled, focused. He asked questions about the hospital. Not small talk, not pleasantries, precise inquiries. Who works in your wing? Who has access to the medicine vault? Has anyone asked you odd questions about your specialty? Have you noticed unusual deaths? Missing patients? She tried to remember. Faces, names, moments. There was a new nurse, she said once, frowning. A transfer from another hospital. Very efficient, too efficient. She always wanted to help with sedations. Name, he said. I only knew her as Su Min, she murmured. Short, neat hair, sharp eyes. She didn't feel like a nurse. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Interesting, he said. What does that mean? She demanded. It means your husband was not lying, he replied. There is someone inside your hospital working with my enemies. Are you going to kill her? She whispered. If she is who I think she is, he said, fingers curling on his desk. I should have killed her years ago. Her stomach twisted. The way he said it. Not anger. Regret. One evening she found a book on her nightstand. A novel. Kenyan author. Swahili dialogue scattered through the pages. Her chest tightened. She ran her fingers over the cover. There was a note tucked inside in precise handwriting. Dr. Mwangi, you look less dangerous when you are reading. KJH. She snorted despite herself. Arrogant, controlling psychopath, she muttered. But she didn't put the book down. On the fifth night, the nightmares came hard. Not of coffins this time, of hospital corridors that wouldn't end, of faceless nurses injecting her mother's IV with something dark, of waking up strapped to a table while Cheeky signed papers in the corner. She jolted awake with a scream stuck in her throat. Her heart raced. Her skin was damp with sweat. She threw off the blanket, stumbled toward the bathroom, splashed cold water on her face. Get a grip, she whispered to herself. You're not dead. You're here. You're... The door clicked. Her head snapped up. She stepped out of the bathroom. Ji-hoon stood in the doorway again. No knock, no announcement. Just presence. His shirt was undone at the collar, sleeves rolled up, gun at his hip. He looked like he hadn't slept either. How did you... She started, then glanced at the camera. Of course. He'd seen her wake up screaming. You were loud, he said simply. Sorry, she muttered. Don't apologize, he replied. You are allowed to dream. She laughed, bitter. Dreams don't feel like dreams right now, she said. They feel like warnings. He studied her for a beat. Sit, he said. She glared. I'm not a dog. His lips twitched, almost a smirk. Sit, doctor, he repeated. Something in his tone made her obey despite herself. She sat on the edge of the bed. He walked past her, picked up the book from the nightstand, flipped it closed, then sat in the chair again. He didn't touch her. He didn't come too close. He just existed in the same space. I don't need a babysitter, she muttered after a moment. I'm not here for you, he lied. She glanced at him. His eyes gave him away. He was absolutely there for her. Why do you care if I scream in my sleep? She whispered. He didn't answer immediately. When I was 12, he said, voice quieter than she'd ever heard it. I woke up to gunshots downstairs. She blinked. He continued. My father's enemies broke into our house. My mother hid me in a closet, told me not to move, not to make a sound. He stared at some distant point on the wall. I listened while they killed her. Liyana's breath caught. I sat there, he said, jaw tight, in the dark, counting my own heartbeats, waiting for footsteps to come upstairs. He finally looked at her. No one came, he said. They left me alive, a mistake they paid for later. Her chest ached for a version of him that had once been just a boy in a closet. You had nightmares, she guessed. For years, he said. Every night. I would wake up choking on my own breath, convinced someone was standing over me with a gun. He paused. My father never came to check on me, he added quietly. He said nightmares make men stronger. She swallowed hard. That's awful. That is our world, he said. We don't get comfort. We get orders to get stronger. He leaned back in the chair. I am not my father, he finished. Heat pricked at the back of her eyes. She looked away. Why are you telling me this? She whispered. So you understand, he said. I can't make your nightmares stop, but I can make sure you're not alone when you wake up. Her throat tightened. That's not your job, she muttered. Perhaps, he said, but it is my choice. Her heart did something traitorous in her chest. She hated it. She also needed it. Thank you, she whispered, barely audible. He didn't answer. He didn't have to. The silence felt different now. Less like prison, more like two damaged people sharing air. The explosion hit at 3:17 a.m. The entire building shook. Liyana jolted awake, thrown sideways on the bed as the window rattled violently. An orange flash lit the courtyard. Then, gunfire, loud, close, too close. Shouts in Korean echoed through the hallways. Her door flew open. Doctor! Kang burst in, gun already in hand, hair disheveled, eyes sharp. Get up! She stumbled out of bed, heart pounding. What's happening? She gasped. Stay behind me, he ordered, ignoring the question. Another explosion rocked the compound. Somewhere downstairs, glass shattered. He grabbed her wrist, his grip firm but not cruel, and pulled her into the hallway. Two guards joined them instantly, weapons raised. Medical wing is compromised, one shouted over the gunfire. Not yet, Ji-hoon replied in rapid Korean. Secure the east side, do not let them near the north stairwell. Liyana's heart hammered. Who is attacking? She asked, stumbling to keep up. People who want you dead, he said. Ice slid down her spine. They rounded a corner. A body lay on the ground, one of Ji-hoon's men, blood pooling under his head. Liyana swallowed a scream. Ji-hoon yanked her away from the site, pushing her toward a staircase. Up, he ordered. We're going to the safe room. What about Cheek? She blurted. His jaw tightened. He is guarded, he said. If they reach him, he's already dead. Her chest ached. Another explosion shook the walls. Dust rained from the ceiling. You're bleeding, she gasped suddenly. He glanced down. Blood darkened his shirt near his side. It's nothing, he said. She stared. That's a bullet wound. Just a graze, he snapped. Keep moving. A shout rang out behind them. Boss, another guard yelled. They've breached the west wing. Fall back, Ji-hoon barked. Protect the staircase. They burst onto the fourth floor. Gunfire echoed from the lower levels. Liyana's breath came fast and shallow. Wait, she gasped, stumbling. You're hurt. I said keep moving, he snarled, but his steps faltered for just 1 second. She saw the way his hand pressed tighter against his side. Stop, she said. You're going to collapse. He grabbed her chin, forcing her to look at him. Listen to me, doctor, he said, eyes burning. If they take you, they will not keep you alive for long. You understand me? She nodded shakily. Then do not argue, he hissed. You want to help? You do it in the safe room, not in the hallway where stray bullets fly. A sharp crack echoed down the corridor. A bullet hit the wall inches from her head. She flinched. He shoved her through the nearest door. It slammed behind them. Alarms blared. This room was smaller. Reinforced steel walls, a metal table, a med kit, stacks of water bottles. He locked 3 bolts on the door, then exhaled. His hand fell away from his side. Blood poured faster. Sit, she ordered automatically. He raised a brow. Doctor? Sit down, Kang, she snapped, or I'll knock you down myself. For the first time since she met him, surprise flashed across his face. Then, reluctantly, he sat on the edge of the table. She grabbed the med kit, yanked it open, and peeled back his blood-soaked shirt. The wound was ugly. A deep groove along his side, bleeding heavily. A close call, too close. Her chest clenched. "You call this a graze?" she demanded. "In my world," he said through clenched teeth, "it is." "Your world is stupid," she muttered, pressing gauze to the wound. He hissed in pain but didn't move. "Hold still," she ordered. "If you die now, I'll kill you." A faint huff of laughter escaped him. "That is not how death works, Doctor." "Shut up," she snapped. Outside, the gunfire continued. Muffled now, but constant. She stitched quickly, hands steady despite the chaos inside her. Their faces were close, too close. She could feel his breath on her forehead. Her own heart hammered in her chest. "You should not care this much," he said quietly. "You should stop nearly dying around me," she shot back. His gaze dropped to her mouth for a fraction of a second. Heat rushed to her cheeks. She forced herself to keep her eyes on the wound. "Nearly done. Nearly." The lights flickered, then died. Darkness swallowed them. The gunfire outside stopped. That was worse. Much worse. "Kang?" she whispered. He reached out blindly. His hand found her wrist. "I'm here," he said quietly. Her breath shook. Something heavy slammed into the door. Once, twice, a third time. Metal groaned. Liyana's heart climbed into her throat. "Are we safe?" she whispered. "Not yet," he said. The door shuddered again, bent slightly inward. Voices shouted in Korean from outside, different accents, not his men. He squeezed her wrist. "Stay behind me," he murmured. "If they break through that door," she whispered, "we're trapped." "Yes," he said calmly. "And if they kill you first?" she asked. He didn't hesitate. "Then you pick up my gun," he said, "and make sure you die second." Her breath caught. "Those are your instructions," she hissed. "Yes," he said, "because trust me, you do not want to know what happens if they take you alive." The door slammed again. The frame bent. Screws rattled. If your heart is racing like Liyana's right now, hit that like button and tell me in the comments what you think happens when that door finally opens, because what's on the other side is about to change everything. She was just a Kenyan doctor working in Seoul, until a single night dragged her into a world of secrets, betrayal, and a ruthless Korean Mafia boss who refuses to let her die. When Liyana Mwangi is kidnapped and forced to save a bleeding man, she thinks it's just another crime she accidentally got pulled into, until she looks at the patient's face and realizes the man she's saving is her husband, the same husband who died 3 years ago. Now trapped in a compound, hunted by a deadly syndicate, and emotionally torn between the truth and the monster protecting her, Liyana must decide. Does she run, forgive, or become something far darker to survive? If you love dark romance, Afro-Korean stories, intense emotional twists, and addictive storytelling, then hit like, subscribe, and buckle up. This one will haunt you.